Okay. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. My name is Christopher Lee. Welcome to the Creative Tavern. I am a concept designer, and I've been in the industry for about 10 years. Worked with companies such as Walt Disney Imagineering and Universal Studios Creative. And I'm here today with my buddy Michael Welker. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael O. Welker. I am a writer and semi-retired creative producer, also from the entertainment industry, where I worked with Chris at Walt Disney Imagineering and Universal Creative, most recently on Super Nintendo World in Osaka, Japan. And after that project wrapped up, Chris and I both were kind of in between big projects and said, like, hey, we never done a project together before. Like, let's do something that you and I are interested in. Um, that project eventually evolved into us learning how to make a video game. And we said, hey, why don't we not just do that, but let's also stream it? That way, other people can see these design sessions that we're doing and can kind of come along on the creative journey with us to making something, learning how to make something from scratch. And thus, the Creative Tavern was born, which is where you are now. And, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. And the Creative Tavern is for all people, all creative people. In that, if there's anything you're doing you would like to share, your journey, your experience, your hardships, feel free to always join our Discord and just, let us know and have a chat, fireside chat. And again, we welcome you to our tavern. Very, very happy to have you here. So today is Sunday, and Sunday means that I will be sharing stuff, my progress. Um, all right, here we go. Here we go. Let me do this. And special shout out to our friend Richard who is watching. Hello, Richard. Hello. And let me go ahead and share my screen. Screen's number 4. Uh, okay, and I will change this to
Ooh.
this.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. Wait.
I'm really excited already.
Well, yeah. Don't be too excited. uh,
Get out of
I
myself.
mean, yeah, but no, I totally appreciate that, Michael. But it's today we're gonna be covering more of like technical aspect. But before I do that, I just want to give you guys a quick recap on what we did last week. Um, in that I was doing scene 4, and scene 4 again is between 3 and 5, obviously. And it is a transitional scene. It is a scene where we are in a very, very tight corridor. And much like this, we're flying through tight corridors. And oh, sorry, I didn't really like animate the path as well. But essentially, we're moving through this little tunnel space, and we want to make it as cool and interesting and awesome as possible. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of audio feedback from my computer. I don't know why, but anyways, so yes, this is what it's supposed to look like. And my homework was to, hold on, let me see, was to try to texture it, if that's correct, as well as creating a radius rings that is a little bit larger so that people have it will take a longer time from going from here to here. I showed this to Michael on Wednesday because I wanted his feedback and not wait until now to get his feedback. So essentially I went from here and it was the first one. It was this one right here, right? And then I created one that's like this big and also this big as well. So there's that. I've also created another uh, 2 different sizes for this. Initially we had this thing right here. Let me go ahead and do this right here. Something like this. When we were flying through in it, it feels a little bit small. So I went, or the comment was that it felt a little bit small. And then so I went ahead and created a bigger one that's like it has a bigger space. And I told Michael that as long as he knows what he needs and wants in the game, we could always create that assets for him, right? For example, like this one right here, the comment was like, it still doesn't feel as large as it can be. And so what I did was from here, I created another one that's a much, much bigger space. Rah, it's a bigger space, basically. And so from there, my goal is to texture it and do a little bit of texture exploration. But before I do that, I have to do something called UV unwrapping. And I know the concept. However, oh my goodness, it definitely took a little bit more time and effort than I thought it would take. I'm gonna do a little bit of pause really quick, for because I'm experiencing some technical sound difficulties on my earphone. So give me 1 second. Okay, and we're back. The static went away for a little bit. I'm pretty sure it will come back again. Ha, but it's okay. Let me go ahead and see. Okay, so yes, the next thing that in order for me to actually put textures on here, I need to unwrap it, right? So I will go ahead and close this thing, this version right here. I will not save it. All right. So let me show you something really quick. So I went online and did a little bit of searching on the internet for textures. And this is a kind of interesting high-tech texture that I found. Like, oh, this is kind of cool. We could probably use this, right?
Yeah.
But in order for us to actually use this, you would have to figure out a way to kind of UV unwrap it. Meaning, like, let's just say, let's go ahead and take this guy, for example, right? And let me do
Okay.
something really quick. All right. So let me do this. So if and when I take this, and I UV unwrap it, in Blender you press U. So now,
Oh, interesting.
so now every different pieces here,
Mm-hmm.
every surface is represented by a little tiny, 2D surface, right? So
Mm-hmm.
essentially, it's like unwrapping a surface. So if you went ahead and selected everything, you'll see that this is the surface of that. These are the shapes that creates this 3D object, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if I went ahead and turned on image preview, oh, this is actually, hold on.
Oh, that looks kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. You have, or for
Rainbow
me,
Road from.
yeah, I have to do that
Oh,
in
whoa.
order to actually get to map it out correctly. Because if you don't, then
Mm.
everything's gonna look all super super weird, right? So
Mm-hmm.
basically, if I do this, if I take this, and if I start
Mm-hmm.
going inside here, it's
Whoa.
gonna start mapping in all this different kind of wonky ways. It
Uh-huh.
makes it like doing this. It might not make sense just looking at it, but I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
you take one of, let's say, these pieces right here, and then we
Uh-huh.
move this over here, you'll begin to see that the surfaces, like this surface right here,
Mm-hmm.
and if I go in right here, and if I make this smaller, let's just say if I wanted
Oh.
it to be all white, then I would make
Uh-huh.
this
Got
all
it.
white because right now it's just mapping this right here, right? Um, and
Mm-hmm.
if I wanted this little, let's say this little blue dot in the middle of the panel, here's the little blue dot
Mm.
in the middle of the panel. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so something like this. So you can tell, actually, what's happening right now is this is the top, obviously, and this right here is actually the bottom. So what I have to do is to go ahead and flip it. All right, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, weird. It didn't. What the heck? Uh,
Uh, I think it flipped it.
no. I want this thing right here to be on
Uh-huh.
top.
On top.
All right. Yeah.
Oh.
So what I need to do is I need to do y -1. There you go. So now this piece right here
Uh-huh.
is actually this piece right here, and
Got
the
it.
middle one is the middle one, and this top piece is actually the bottom piece right here. So
Okay.
it could get super super confusing, and that's kind of what I've struggled with. I was like trying to figure out a way to not confuse myself by doing all this. So and it was definitely and quite the experience. I've UV unwrapped stuff before, but
Hmm.
I've never really had to do it in a way where it's trying to make one UV unwrap work for all the different modular pieces because like how Captain Blue Blue said, let's just say this is a texture right here, 20, this is a 20 by 48 um, image right here.
Hmm.
However, the best optimization is to use just as less images as possible, right? So what I want to do, my goal is for all of Scene 4 elements, I want to use one texture, right? But if I want to do that, I have to make sure that all the UV layout, all the UV unwraps, it all shares the same space. So for example, uh, right now it's kind of weird. So it will make sense in a while. I'm gonna go ahead and switch back into the rainbow color thing. And let me go ahead and
Sure.
switch back to this right here. Like that. Okay. So right now we are using the
Oh.
rainbow UV textures. And this is just a texture that comes in Blender. This just makes sure that all your surfaces is not skewed. So what I mean by that is let me go here. Like, for example, right now everything looks fine. Like all the E's, E2, all the, I mean, they're different ratio size and everything, but that's at
Uh-huh.
least two things. You know that right now all the surfaces they're not at the same scale because F4 E4 compared to E2 and this surface is not the same. So for example, like if I do this, if I move this, and if I just move this bigger, everything will get smaller. So
Oh,
so now
interesting.
all the surfaces will be kind of the same and it will be averaged out. And there's this thing in Blender where it actually does that for you. You select everything, go UV, and then go to uh, average island scale. So it will average everything out. So now
Mm.
technically all the squares should be the same. So all the
Wow,
squares,
cool.
yeah. So if I went ahead and did this, if I made this bigger, it's like, oh
Mm.
no,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's fine, but sometimes you want everything to look the same. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really your choice of what you want to do, right? But what you don't want to happen is something like this. Let me show you really quick. Let's say you have something like this, and then all of a sudden, like, look at that.
Whoa.
That's awful, right? Because
Yeah.
your UV uh is not unwrapped correctly. It gets like skewed and stuff. So this is something that I had to watch out for. I think everyone who does 3D has to watch out for this. We don't want anything like this. We want to make sure everything is nice and like vertical and horizontal when we put kind of like this sample uh, rainbow grid on it. It's just so that it makes sense and it works well, right? So that's something that I had to deal with. That's kind of like a technical thing that everyone has to do when they're doing 3D assets. So in order to fix this, I basically have to unwrap everything again. So boom, everything is all nice. All the islands they have the same ratio. They're not skewed or anything. So if you look at this triangle piece right here, I can
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and take this one right here and then just go ahead and move that, right? Just move that.
Uh-huh.
And one of the reasons why the triangle piece, when I just move one, it's moving all of them up top, is because this geometry right here is actually being mirrored two times, right? This is the actual geometry, and however, if I put a mirror modifier on there, let's say that, right? Um, so this is what it is, and if I put a mirror modifier in the X direction, boom,
Mm.
it mirrors this side. So it cuts my
That's so
work,
cool.
yeah, it cuts my work down in a quarter basically. And then if I want the other side, I just go ahead and click on the y-axis as well. And obviously you got to
Cool.
make sure your center point is in the right location, or else this
Mm.
mirroring effect it won't work. So that is what I did for all of them, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and delete this right here. And the idea is and the goal is to make sure that all these pieces will share one texture, and that's a goal. That's something that I want to make sure we stick to, because there's no reason why this piece and this piece has two different textures. Let me show you exactly what I did. So I'm gonna go ahead and select all of them, and you're gonna see
Mm-hmm.
my madness, right? And
Okay.
I'm gonna go this, and I'm going to go to edit mode. Whoop, what's going on? Why is it not working? What the world? Sorry.
It's not
My
letting you select.
It's not letting. It's not going into. Weird. Sorry. There you
Oh, there
go.
it goes.
Wow, that was weird. Okay, so um, it was a very, very laborious task trying to UV unwrap each and every one of them. But I did it. I did it in that I went ahead and each and every one of them all have the same surface location dealio. So for example, let me try to do this. Oh wait,
Whoa.
not all of them is selected. What's going on? Okay, my computer is like chugging. Right, I selected all of them. All right, now selected all
Oh,
of
there we go.
them. Select all of them. Okay, now it should work. Now if I do this,
Whoa.
yeah, so if I make any edits or changes on this image,
Mm-hmm.
it will be applied to all of them. This saves a lot of time for me in the future. Let's just say if, if Michael, if you didn't like this area to be red, I could just go ahead and take it and move it and paint it to some other thing without having to repaint each individual UV textures on the
Mm-hmm.
model. I could just do it on one piece, and then it will apply to all of them.
Cool.
I don't know if that makes any sense at all the way I'm explaining it, Michael. But
Yeah.
essentially, it's just you know UV mapping all the pieces in the right areas, so that they all have and can share one UV texture map.
Yeah, yeah, you explained it very well. Like makes perfect sense to me. So like I mean, basically where you have it set right now, if you wanted to, if I said like, this part where it's what is that, E2, F2, the yellow part right after the
Yeah.
red part,
Uh-huh.
if you wanted to change that, you would just go into the UV map into grid number, E2 and then
Right.
change, whatever that was, just draw it there and then it broadcasts that out to the all all of the elements that have that grid on their surface, right?
Right, right. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That's awesome. You got it. Sorry, when I'm trying to
One,
understand this, or when I trying to explain this, I myself am trying to understand it as well, because I kind of know it, but having to say it makes me have to like
uh-huh.
think about it if I actually know what the hell I'm doing. I mean, I obviously I did it. It's just trying to, explain it as like a whole other thing, right? Whole other
Totally.
level. They say that if you're able to teach it, then you actually know what you're
And
talking
yeah,
about. Yeah,
and you really know what you're talking about if you can teach other people how to do it.
yeah,
One question I do have though is in the window on the bottom left where you've got the sort of the grid and then yeah, exactly that window and then the different pieces. So right now the pieces are totally off the grid. They're off to the right-hand side. but in the window above, it's still showing as though they're mapped to
Mm,
that
mm, mm.
grid.
Yeah, great question. Just visualize this red is repeating right here. Even this is a
Ah,
square, it just repeats right here as well. So
gotcha.
this corner, this corner right here is the same as this corner right
Uh,
here.
I
Yeah, this
see.
as well as this corner in the bottom right here. It's all the
Got it.
same. The UV texture kind of just keeps going on forever and ever. That's why people look for what do they call it? A tileless texture, so that anyone who whenever you texture something to the left edge, it's also
Mm-hmm.
connects to the right edge, so it just goes on forever.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Man,
Seamless,
awesome.
seamless. Sorry, seamless, not
Seamless.
tileless.
There you go.
Seamless textures. Yeah, kind of like grass, sky, dirt, metal.
Mm,
Any kind of textures. You just plop it in one place, and it could just continue on for a long time. So with that
makes sense.
said, yeah, yeah. I'm so glad you understand in that I'm able to explain it. Uh, so these pieces right here, for example, if I highlight this guy right here, you'll see that, and if I only move this right here, it will only
Oh,
move this
cool.
piece right here, right? So if I also went ahead and selected these two, and if I selected that, then these three will move,
Whoa,
right?
neat.
Yeah. So, and if I did this, and if I selected this only this piece will move. So
Got
essentially
it.
I went ahead and make sure that they all share the same space so that
Wow.
if I went ahead and changed something, they could all be uniformly changed. I already said that. Sorry, I'm just kind of repeating myself at this point.
Oh
Um,
yeah, makes sense
the
though. Wow,
the
now I understand. That seems like a lot of work.
yeah, yeah, it was. But what was worse, the thing that I kind of mentioned in the beginning, in our pre-show, what
Uh-huh.
happened was I got it up to a certain point, like, this looks great, this looks beautiful. So I went ahead and I wanted to save another version because I was starting this bigger piece right here. I was going to do this. I went ahead and did save as, right? I put up this, right? And then do you remember when I told you I was having a technical issue that my clicks have been kind of double clicking by itself? I click once, but
Mm-hmm.
the system tells itself like, "Oh, it's two clicks," right? For some odd reason, I don't know why it's been doing that. So, and it and whenever I save another version, I usually click on one item right here just so that I can get the same name, right? And then and then and then say, okay, I want version 2, right? In order to do
Mm,
that, because I'm lazy, I don't want to have to type everything in, like type
sure.
the whole name in. I just click on one and then change it to version 2. However, with that little computer glitch that I'm having,
Uh-huh.
I clicked on it and it basically saved over what I did from a previous version, older version.
No.
And then so I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. All this work that I did, I accidentally overcopied on a new version that I did. And I was about to like punch my monitor in the face, and uh yeah, it was not happy. It was not great. So I essentially kind of had to redo all of this yet again. It was very, very frustrating, but
Oh man.
remember what I said, guys. Is if your computer crashes, the best thing you can do is to not bitch and moan about it. Is just power through. You just got to do it again. And I had to eat my words, and it's totally sucked. But went ahead and redid everything.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awful. Yeah. And Totoro says, "Oh yeah, that is the worst." Yeah, it was the worst, and boy, I was not happy that that happened. But anyways, so that was the challenge for me. It essentially took like a day and a half away from me. So
Oh,
there's that, and that is the end of my complaint. But hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about when I'm talking when I'm saying like you just gotta power through it, and hopefully it will uh you just gotta do it. Um, and currently my computer is like freezing right now,
it's crashing.
so yeah, it's kind of crashing.
It didn't like
Uh,
you smack talking on it.
I know,
Now it's
I know. Now
it's
it's like, well,
it's complaining. Yeah,
all
so
right.
currently everything is scaled such that the size of each one of the like rainbow grid squares is the
Hmm.
same size on all of the models, right? That's what
Yeah,
that
currently,
basically means.
currently. Yep, currently. All right. And then I yet to do these two guys right here. I got to do these two guys as well as these guys right here. Um, I did texture it and everything. I did UV unwrap everything, so these are all UV unwrapped. However, I have to like organize it in order to like maximize the space. Something like that.
Whoa.
Sorry guys, I'm having a lot of sound difficulties. In my ear, I hear like static going on, so I'm trying to talk over it, and it's difficult. It's difficult.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm a trooper. Okay, so with that, the next thing that I have to do is basically do these two as well as these guys right here, and when that happens, then I'll be able to do some pretty cool texturing, making the insides of the space look really cool. Um,
Hey Chris, hang on 1 second. I want to see if maybe I'm the source of the static. Because I have a fan on over here that it's far away and I didn't think we'd hear it, but I'm gonna go turn it off. And you tell me if that fixes it. I'll be right back.
okay, sure. Figure this out. All right. Okay. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So this essentially is the process what you have to do in order to texture anything, right? And I actually did do one of the pieces. Ah, hold on, hold on. Oh, I lost myself. I lost. Where the hell? Okay, there you go. So I went ahead and did this generic corridor piece that I've been working on, and oh, actually, Michael, the stack is back, so it's not your fan.
Ah,
Yeah,
damn. Okay.
yeah,
Well,
it's
good to
fine.
know.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Uh, and I went ahead and did this one, this
Ooh.
version right here,
Mm-hmm.
because UV unwrapped everything. I was able to utilize um, the texture, this texture right here. Hold on, this texture right here,
Mm-hmm.
and from here, obviously, I selected only isolated places in order to, you know, to make it look the way that I want it to look. So for example, if we just looked at this piece right here, let me do this right here, this thing right here. Okay, I have everything selected. Okay, now we're just looking at this. Perfect. Okay, and if I went to edit mode, you'll see that in here, uh, there's like all these like different shapes and everything, right? This is more or less me trying to explore this texture map to see and
Mm-hmm.
find and to use locations where I think it's appropriate. So if I didn't do this, then it would look all sorts of wonkiness, and by that I mean if I do this really quick, look how
Whoa,
crazy
yeah.
inside it would look if it's just unwrapped without any design at all. It would just be all over the place.
Yeah.
But in order for me to actually come up with something cleaner looking, um, this is what I did. And I wanted to get your feedback before I textured all of them. I wanted something simple. I wanted something really, really um, easy to look at, very generic,
Mm-hmm.
so that, when we do have extra stuff in here, it's not going to be too crazy. And if I
Sure.
do this correctly, um, give it 1 second. I'm going to go to render view. Render view is going to give us how it looks inside the environment of space.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh man.
Great work on this, man. Like this has been very informative and fascinating to listen to your explanation and see the visuals in real time. Um, it has really like helped my understanding immensely.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad, man. I'm glad. Basically, if you have a cube and if you want to texture that cube, you have to unwrap that cube, right? If that cube is
Mm-hmm.
unwrapped, it more or less will look there'll be six squares, right? And then you have to do that with every single item, um, every single
Got it.
assets, right? Okay, so this is what it looks like in the environment, and obviously I'm currently using a green space environment,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what it looks like flying through it. Um, and it's not really properly lit, is because
Sure.
obviously when you're inside you're not gonna it's supposed to be a lot darker, because why is this in here getting light? So I don't understand that. But I went ahead and included an artificial light inside.
Ooh.
It's not showing up. Why is it not showing up? Oh, it's because I've did that thing. So hold
Oh yeah.
on. Wait, hold on. Yeah,
Oh,
did
was it
not do
not
that.
selected or something?
Yeah, I was actually in isolation mode. That's why. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Oh, cool.
if we
That
lit
looks so
something,
awesome.
yeah, thanks, man. If we lit something like this in Unity, um, well,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, Michael, what do you think? How do you now that you kind of see it with lights and in the environment, not just like a grayscale model, um, what do you think of the panel design, of the shapes? Uh, yeah, feedback, please, sir.
Sure. Um, I mean, fantastic job. Like especially like once you get the lights in there, this looks really cool. And I especially like what you said earlier about um, in in your own words, basically using or to like be moving the design for this in a way where it's kind of like the background. It's this blank canvas where there's going to be all these other more interesting, more prominent things happening when your ship is in there and there are drones in there that are flying in your way, and maybe there's obstacles that you need to dodge. So we definitely don't want the background to be so busy and prominent and detailed that
Hmm.
it's drawing attention away from those things. Um, so that's good. I like that. I also think the way that you've set up the different like types of shapes, for example, the little octagonal protrusions that are
Hmm.
creating these sort of like ribs, these rings, like those are actually really awesome, especially the way they're lit. They're really cool because that's going to help give that sense of movement through the space. Like you can have these things whooshing by you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
going to be really great. And complementary to that, you've got those long horizontal lines along the sides, which I'd kind of mentioned last time about like creating this sort of sense of horizon lines. And I
Horizon
like
line,
that
yeah.
the ones on the uh, X horizon, I guess,
Uh-huh.
are the opposite color of the ones that are on the like
Yeah,
Y horizon. Like that's great.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to just envision having those other elements in here, but I think this is amazing. Like I think this is a perfect backdrop to start building these things. Like I think it looks super cool.
Yeah. And if I'm smart, let
Oh
me
hey,
see.
Confetti Yeti's here. Hi Confetti
Oh,
Yeti.
Confetti Yeti! Hey, how are you? Hello. Good to have you here. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Uh, so if I did this, If I have the elements, this corridor element here, and if I did that, if I did this, hopefully, oh,
Ooh.
hold on. I have to set this, all this technical stuff, go to center. And if I did this here, ah, let my will be done. Come on. That's a stupid user error. Um, let me go ahead and put another array modifier. Do another array modifier. Do and then instead of in the x direction, I want it in the y direction. So now like we can add like again, we talked about this already. We could start adding like various elements, these things in here just to make the shape a little bit different. Hey, boom,
Totally.
shaka laka, laka. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Yeah. So basically, being able to add like various elements into space, because again, I just created one little tiny corridor, right? And then we could start
Mm.
putting stuff in there to make it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, cool. Man, this is looking awesome, dude.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Wow.
And chat and everyone else who's watching, I totally apologize. My computer is like super acting up today. I'm not happy with it, but I will keep going because that is not going to stop me from doing and sharing works with you guys. Uh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, also, I not only did. Oh, okay. But yes. So the question I want to ask you is, Michael, can I move forward with what you see here? Um, bu- 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 Sorry, I'm like trying to go to the solid mode, or no, the
Sure.
material mode. With what you see here, is it okay if I apply this look to the rest of these guys right here, to all of these guys at the bottom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. I will go ahead and do that. My next question is that the most important thing to do?
Ooh, well, I guess in order to give feedback on that question, I'd have to know like what the alternatives would be. What is that like what are the other tasks that that one is competing with for your time?
I think the next task or the next thing that is competing is maybe moving on towards the next scenes to create the more important elements so that I can give it to you in Unity so that you can start playing with building it in
Mm,
Unity. Because I could, dive into the textures, add creating more props inside scene 4, like the little fins, the power grid, the
mm-hmm.
the electrical stuff, just the things that to fly through the doors. I could, I got to texture the doors as well. All these little assets that can be located in scene 4. But now we have the most important Lego blocks to use. Do
Mm-hmm.
you think we should move on to another scene, or would you like me to continue fleshing all the assets out in scene 4? That's a production pipeline question, I guess I wanted to ask you before moving on to start detailing stuff.
So, well, it's definitely becoming increasingly important for me to start getting the sort of like gray box assets that I can then start play testing in
Yeah.
an environment. Um, so I think yeah, doing that would be probably the most important. I'm not sure like what that necessarily entails on your end. Like maybe you can let me know what you think that looks like.
Um yeah, I was just basically going to say like now that we have all these most important elements, because again, scene forward is just like a tube ride. You know, it's just
Mhm.
building like a shaped tube and flying through it. Maybe now I can do either scene three, creating all those important assets, or scene five, all those important assets for me to give to you in Unity. By the way, hold on. So the next thing I wanted to test out, and you will see it, but I want to make sure that the chat can see it as well. So this is what it shows, and I need to show Michael that I went ahead and took this
Ooh,
and then brought it into Unity.
cool.
And so this itself is a prefab item, and
Oh, hell yeah.
I can't play because I don't have a setup camera. This is I'm using the project with the little dude like dancing around, right? This is just
Uh-huh.
the same scene. And I just went ahead and plugged it in here, um, just to test it out, and it works. It
Yeah, that's
works.
great.
Yeah, and I'm pretty shocked, or not shocked. I'm not shocked. I'm just a little bit surprised that. Let me go ahead and delete this. Delete. There you go. I'm a little bit surprised that the lighting is really accurate. Like once it's like next to each other, the
Uh-huh.
the lighting itself, like you see there's a little bit of lighting right here, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if it's connected like snap to or right adjacent to one another,
Mm-hmm. It's not like leaking through or anything.
it's not leaking through. I'm shocked. I'm again, it's probably not the right word, but I'm surprised that it's not leaking through, which is great. Um,
Cool.
with the yeah, with that said, uh, once everything is textured out, or no, that's not true. Again, I'm asking you the question: do you need to see everything all textured out first, before I start, exporting these guys, these Lego pieces to you? We still have this
Um,
one.
I don't no, I don't think so. I mean, with what you have so far, like, I feel confident that if you were to keep going, that it would be fine. And if anything weird did come up, we could just address it then.
Mhm, mhm,
Um,
mhm,
because, there might be a case where, like, one of the junctions that's at a turn, like, oh wow, there's kind of a weird texture thing there, and the way that the player flies through there, they're going to be looking directly at it. So, like, let's maybe adjust that. Like, something like that might come up. I don't know, but yeah, for now, I don't think we necessarily need to do like another round of like, okay, did mapping for all these other ones. Like, let's look at
mhm,
each
mhm,
one individually and
mhm, mhm.
give it yay or nay. Um, yeah, I'd feel confident if you wanted to just you know uh, m- move forward from here. Like, that's fine. That's totally fine.
Okay. All right. With that said, that's good to know. When you say like going to the next step, like so for next session, would you like me to start working on either scene 3 or scene 5? Because more or less, I can export all these guys into Unity right now as assets for you to use, so that whenever you're ready, you can start connecting building blocks for these. And so, should I go ahead and start with scene 3 or 5?
Yeah, yep, I think that makes the most sense. Yeah, if you could do both those things, like if you could get these exported, sent to me, and like
Uh huh. Uh
really,
huh.
I don't need them all to have like the UV mapping, which is it's nice, like it's beautiful, and it would
Right.
certainly
Right.
be great to use that. But even if you just sent them to me with just like that rainbow grid
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
some other kind of just very basic grid thing, which I think is important instead of it just being gray box. Well, I mean, I could also apply a material to it, so it's not really that big of a deal. Um, but having like a texture or a grid will help with conveying that sense of movement and motion. Like, are we going fast enough? Do we need a little bit? Does it need
Yeah.
to be longer here?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so if you've got those ready to go and you feel like you're
Mhm.
done there and you want to
Mhm.
export, and actually what's probably the, because I'm still trying to elevate my understanding of Git and GitHub to the point where we can use that collaboratively. In
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
meantime, probably the easiest way to get these to me would be if you can even use this project that you're already using. If you want to create another one, you can too. Um, but in that project, you would just create a scene, put in all the different elements in that scene,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then you see up in the top where it says assets.
Hmm.
So yeah, click on that, and then see where it says export package, kind of in the middle.
Export package. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, right there. So you would click that,
Uh-huh.
and what that's going to do is whatever you have selected in the bottom left where your assets are, so you
Right.
see down where it says like favorites and assets, 1, 2, new folder, whatever,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
whatever you select, you can export that as a Unity package.
Oh, okay.
And and so it's this one single little file. It's technically a zip folder, but
Sure.
Unity understands what it is as just a
Right.
single file. So
Right.
then you could just upload that to our shared drive. I'll download that, and I can just import it into Unity, and then I'll
Mm.
have it in our file,
Great. Great.
in our
Great. Great.
project.
Awesome. And if there are any additional updates, I'll just export it. Actually, shoot. Let's say there's a version 1. I give you version 1, right? And then you have it, you you're using it, you import it to your Unity, right? All
Hmm.
of a sudden, I do a version 2, which looks much, much better, a lot sexier, right? If I give it to you, are you able to quickly just swap out the first version assets with the second version assets really quickly, or are you gonna have to take those versions again and then take this and put it here, take that and put it there? Or can you just quickly say swap asset number 5 with the new assets number 5, like a version 2, right? Because
I'm
I
pretty sure. Go ahead.
no, no, what I was gonna say is I don't want you to have to do twice the work. Taking the
Sure.
new version and then have to like just x axis, y axis, and then move it and kind of have to put it. Is there a way to just easy replace stuff in Unity? This is an elementary question.
Um,
Sorry. For those of you
no,
guys
no,
who already know,
it's a
please
very
let
good
us know.
question.
Yeah.
Um, There are two answers to that. One I know how to do right now, and the other one is like, that may be a Git thing. Git might be able to do that once we're collaborating, and it could be a build on of the first thing. So I know for sure that in Unity, anytime you create a prefab and you put an instance of that prefab in your world. So like like what you have on screen right now, you've basically got one of those octagonal pieces, right? But you've got two of them in the scene right now, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And they're like butted up to each other.
Yeah.
So as long as those are two instances of one prefab, if you go into the prefab and change it, it cascades that change out to all the
Oh,
instances of that
good.
prefab.
Good. 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 Good.
So I believe what could happen is you give me the version 1, I'll build a bunch of cool shit with it. Then when you give me version 2, I just take your version 2,
Uh-huh.
go into the prefab for version 1, delete the version 1, put in the version 2, and then that'll cascade the changes out to all of the instances.
Okay,
Does that
that's
make
great.
sense?
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, great. And I will. I guess another question for you is, do I keep all the names the same? Do you want like a blah 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 underscore VO1 or blah 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 underscore VO2, or do I just keep it as is so that the system can recognize the file name?
I would definitely change the file names. If it's a different thing,
Uh-huh.
um, give me the version 2 or the version 3 or
Got it.
whatever
Got
it
it.
is.
Okay.
Because it's pretty easy for me to just rename things in Unity, and Unity's not very picky about what things are named in most cases. But for my own sanity and for our staying consistent on top of things, it's going to be helpful for us to visually be able to see, like, wait a minute, am I using the right version here? Is this version 2
Mhm.
the latest one? So I think for us, that's going to be really helpful. For Unity, it's not really a big deal.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Good. Good. Okay, cool. Thanks for answering those questions. Yeah, it might be super elementary, but I wanted to make sure it's working. Uh, the pipeline. As
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it will. Yeah, I
Okay.
definitely think it will. Oh,
Great.
and the other thing that I was going to say is what I think might be possible when we move into using Git is you can make a change directly to the prefab and be like, okay, I updated it,
Hmm.
and then push that change to Git. And then when I open the project on my end, I can download that
Mm.
change, and my project will just instantly be updated with all the changes that you made.
Okay. Awesome. That's good. That's great. Nice. All right. Sweet. Cool. 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 What other questions do I have? So for next week, I will make sure to give you in Unity all these prefab items
Okay,
in Unity so that you can start playing with it as the way you want it to. Um, yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds great, man. Awesome.
Sweet.
When you imported that into Unity, did you have to do any like messing around with the materials of the UV mapping, or did it bring all that in by itself?
So what I had to do was let me see. Boop, boop, boop. I had to take the FBX model and then move it in here into this folder. And then I had to drag in this texture.
Hmm.
And then I had to create a new material. And then I dragged this into the albedo section right here.
Oh,
And
interesting.
and then that basically changed the this right here
Uh-huh.
into a material with a texture. And then this FBX already knows that it needed this material. Did I have to drag this? I don't no, I did not. I did not. I did not have to take this material and put it on top of the FBX for some odd reason.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It already had it, huh? Cool.
yeah. And the next thing that I will do in the future is create a normal map so that it will
Hmm.
have a little bit more indents and more interesting shape. It's not just 100% flat, so that when light hits it, it'll actually create some type of, shape. I will also include hmm, I don't, is it a light map? Occlusion map. There you go. Occlusion map.
Ooh,
So that
cool. Hmm.
we can have, places on the panels that actually has like little lights on it so that, it's free light. It's
Awesome.
being lit. So there's that. But that's toppings on the dessert.
Sure.
What's most
Sure.
important is this damn shape. It's the geometry itself. Everything else
Totally.
can come later. I mean, if we made this game right now and if we do nothing else, at least we have like a surface to look at, and
Hmm.
all the occlusion maps, all the normal map that could all be added later on.
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's all the polish.
yeah.
And maybe this is a, you know, down the road polish question, but with regard to lighting and doing so if you do the occlusion map, is that like baked in? And so like then do we have to be careful about placing lights in Unity to make sure that like you don't have a light shining directly in the spot where you've got your occlusion shadow?
That's a great question. Theoretically, I want to say if I have a what is this? What is it called? Not the occlusion, but it's called. Is it the occlusion? Uh,
I don't
Hold
know.
on. Yeah, it might be the occlusion. I don't know which it's called, but yeah, I think it is the occlusion. If we do have a occlusion map on there, it like for example, if let's just say this little piece right here, if I tell it that there's a light part, I think
Mhm.
in Unity this then will be lit to whatever color we want it to. Um,
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's part of the texture, but then I know for a fact that whatchamacallit, the in Unity you can also create your own lights, right? Um,
Correct. Yep.
Hold on. Well, I'm not gonna try to figure out that out right now. You could create your own lights.
Oh,
So
I mean, I could show you how to do that. It'll
yeah,
take a second if you want to do it. So if you move your mouse over to the hierarchy on the left-hand side,
Uh-huh.
yeah, right in there, and then just right-click in the blank space towards the bottom. Or yeah,
Oh,
you
there
can
you
even do
go.
that,
Light.
and then see where it
Yep.
says light. Yeah, and
Oh,
then you
point
can
light.
choose like do a point light. Um, there you go, and there's your light, and you
Sweet.
can just move that into the inside of the what you call it, and there you go, and you'll
Oh,
have a light
boom.
source in there.
Boom. How do you zoom? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, be a little tricky.
And then,
Moving things in 3D is man, it's a mind bender sometimes because you're like, oh, I almost got the thing right where I want it, and then you like change the camera perspective just a little bit, and you're like, oh, actually, that thing's still 5 miles away from where I want it.
yeah, yeah. So,
And if it's yeah, there you go. Now you can start seeing the light bouncing off the thing, and you can
yeah.
change the light intensity and the color and all that stuff. And this is
Right.
just a point light, so it's just shooting out in a
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
sphere.
mm-hmm.
But there's spotlights and different things like that. So
Yeah, because in Blender I was also using a point light as well. Um, but anyways, I think having the occlusion map as well as adding lights is just it
mhm.
will work with each other, or if we do it
Okay,
badly, it'll work against each other. But if we do it correctly, it would work really really well. But
kick
again,
ass. Okay,
that's the topping on the cake. The
okay,
most important thing is to make sure that we all have the the necessary texture, and then when we have all the stuff in that's in there correctly, then we can.
man, that
Oh
looks so
shit!
cool.
What happened?
Uh-oh.
Uh, oh,
Oh,
sorry.
by the way,
Yeah.
Totoro versus Sephiroth says, "Hey friends, great looking stuff as always. I'm headed to bed. Enjoy the toppings on this dessert. We got a little Super Meat Boy in there too.
Ah, thank you, Totoro, for being here.
Good night, Totoro."
But yeah, Michael, really quick.
Sure.
So this right here
What are?
is a
Oh, are those
spotlight right
lights?
here. Yeah, these are the
Ah,
lights that I
okay. I was
placed in
just
there.
gonna ask, like, what are those little black rings in there?
Yeah, so that's the little point light.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think if I were to add like a tech, basically adding another texture on top of this geometry would just add more life into it. But I think at this
Mm-hmm.
point right now, um, we need to concentrate on more important things like actually creating the geometries for scene either 3 or 5. Now that we kind of have the
Totally.
fundamental geometries for scene 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I completely agree. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all definitely polished stuff that we can deal with later. The reason why I was asking about it now is because I was wondering if like would we do the UV mapping and just like bake the lighting into that and then just in Unity do a uniform lighting and then all the lighting was just contained in the UV map, but it sounds like we can actually do a combination
We could do.
to
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Um, yes, the answer is yes. In that best of both worlds, um, I mean, you could say that the lighting inside the panels is part of the design aspect as well, but currently, I think again that's as long as we have the main geometry there, I think we're good enough for now, uh, and then we
Yeah.
could
Yep.
add more to it later on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's really exciting and perfect timing too because in my next update, hopefully I'll be I don't think I'm going to be done with the 2D course, but I'm going to be done enough with it that I think I'll have most of the pieces that I'll need for um, actually starting like, okay, now I've got the things that I need. I'm going to start actually prototyping some of these levels. Um, what I'll probably have to end up doing, I'm realizing, is between now and like the end of the sort of prototype draft levels, I'm still going to have to pick up a couple of little skills here and there, but I can kind of do those things on the way because I've really got the bulk of what I need to
Nice.
start building this stuff. I think, or at least I'm hoping that I will.
Right.
So yeah, great timing.
Very, very good. Very awesome. Cool. So now that you've seen this, all right. Okay. Hold on. Let me go ahead and get up. Let me make sure we are seeing this. Okay, now that we see this, oops, I'm on X-ray mode. All right, all right. So what will I do? I'm going to UV unwrap these guys right here, make sure it makes sense, and then I will export all these guys to you individually, and then export it as a package in Unity so that you could take it and play with,
Mm-hmm. Cool.
and that's it. And then later on, when we need more assets, I will come back and create the assets for scene 4. We'll work backwards again. Right now, let's in my mind, get all the necessary geometries created for each level, and then we could step back again and then create more smaller geometries, smaller assets for it. Because
Yep.
right now
Yep.
we just got to make geometry so that you could have something to use in Unity. Okay, cool. Uh, so the next question for you then, Michael, is would you like me to do scene 3 or scene 5?
Uh, I'm leaning towards 3. Yeah, I think maybe we do 3. Yeah, I think we do 3. And part of the reason for that is I think scene 5 feels like it's uh in my mind scene 5 feels more fleshed out than scene
Hmm.
3 does.
Okay.
Um so I feel like maybe we could use the time that we have left to kind of figure out scene 3 a little bit more. And then
Okay.
when we get to scene 5, it's and jump in if you disagree. Because scene 5, I feel like we have a really good idea of what that space is going to look like, what the big pieces are. We just need to refine them a little bit. Whereas scene
Hmm.
3, I feel like we have the big piece figured out, which is like the big asteroid thing. But
Yeah.
some of the other parts, like I don't really know, like because we talked about like big boulders or like cave kind of formation
Right.
things and the
Right.
different mining stuff. And I feel like you've got a pretty good first draft of all that stuff there. But I feel like we've spent a little bit more time on scene 5 kind of figuring things out, so it feels a
Right.
little bit more cooked.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Uh,
Okay.
yes. So for my homework, I will finish these guys up, get a package, and then I will also try to start on scene 3, creating all the essential assets for you to use in Unity. Does that sound correct?
Cool. Yeah,
All
that
right.
sounds fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, because right now in my mind, I just want to create as many fundamental assets for you to use in order to design the game. And then once the game is set with all the most primitive pieces,
Mm-hmm.
then I will go back and polish stuff up, like extra texture maps, extra normal maps, extra light maps, occlusion maps, and height maps, and all that stuff. It's all it essentially is. It's more visual stuff that makes it prettier, but it's not
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
necessary to actually make the game fun. As long
Sure.
as the game is fun, I think that's the most important thing, and we'll try to figure that out first and foremost.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
Cool.
Cool. Cool. Sweet.
Rock on.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Again, this week I mean, I shouldn't apologize, but I feel bad because everything that I'm doing right now is very fundamental, like the stuff that you kind of have to do in order to get things to work. Um, and that's UV unwrapping. Uh, yeah,
No,
fun stuff.
yeah, you're doing great, man. Like this was a great update. I feel like you did a lot, especially considering you basically did all of this twice.
Oh God,
Um,
yeah, that was awful. But I got practice. Silver lining, I guess.
there you go.
I didn't need that silver lining. Oh God.
But
Oh
yeah, this
jeez.
was fantastic. Good work, man.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
more excited than ever about this because it's like coming together. Here we
Yeah,
go.
it really is. And hold on, let me see if I can. Oh, and then do the solid. Nope. Let's go to rendered mode. Just
Oh, cool. We're
that.
gonna
I
fly the
mean,
plane through there.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, hold on. Let me make this bigger so that we can see. Whoa! Slow down.
Zoom. Oh yeah. Oh, that looks so cool. Oh my God.
Something like that.
Oh man. One other thing that could be cool too is we could have like certain sections of the tunnel where the lights are darker, or maybe they're out and flickering, and the only light that you get is when you shoot the guns, the like
Oh
light
yeah.
pulsing off the wall, so you get
Oh
this like
that.
strobe effect.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh man, or what if there's like a moment where you come around a corner into like this really dark space and maybe we disable the player's guns and there's like somebody chatting. You get a little chat window where somebody's like, and the Admiral Akbar character is like, "Oh, we're detecting something strange here. Watch out, it's a trap." And then you see all these red eyes like appear out of the
Oh, cool.
darkness, and
Yeah, yeah.
because it's they're like drone eyes, and then the
Yeah.
lights come on, and you're like, there's just a huge swarm of them in there. Like, oh god, and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Oh man, here we go. We gotta find a way to get this stuff in there.
Yeah.
Good job, dude. This was looking so awesome. It's like right out of
Yeah.
a
Thanks,
sci-fi
man.
movie. Love it.
It's one little art note that I do have for myself
Hmm.
is that right now everything looks really clean. It looks too clean. So I kind of want to
Mm.
dirty it up a little bit, give it a
Oh yeah,
little bit of dirt, griminess, because this after all is a oil, well not oil, but
sure.
some type of
Some
fuel.
kind of mining and refinery. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a dirty operation for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So all these white panels, they're gonna get a little bit grungier looking, but
Sure.
overall the shape and value of it all is still gonna look like this. But I don't like how it's super clean at this moment. So I will
Mm.
grunge it up a little bit.
One other, speaking of that, yes, I completely agree with that. We'll have to grunge it up a bit. And feel free, push back if this is like that's a big ask. Let's not add scope to this project. Put the producer's hat on.
Uh-huh.
No, Michael, no.
Uh-huh.
But would it be like what if there was like another UV map or a portion of the UV map or textures that was like, oh, this area is damaged, and so like
Mm.
there's
Mm-hmm.
exposed wires and
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
cabling, and you can see like, oh, this thing's like it's got a big
Yeah.
hole in it with a big blast radius or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Uh that adds to scope, but not really. Essentially we're just doing another texture that has a damaged look to it. That's more just
Okay, cool.
illustrating like, okay, here's a white panel and it has like three scratch marks on it, and
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
got to
yeah.
create that scratch mark look, and that's a me as an illustrator going and drawing in that look. So
Cool.
I mean, adding stuff always adds scope, but I think that's a good scope add uh to have a more visual look to it, right? So yes, I think that's
Yeah.
totally, totally doable, totally acceptable. So for example, like this piece right here, it might have like a
Mm-hmm.
blown out, scorched look to it,
Yeah.
right? Compared to
Mm-hmm.
something that's cleaner, right? So yeah,
Totally.
I think that's definitely doable. That's very, very doable. Right now, I'm being very, very stingy uh, as a really cheap person. Like, no, we can only afford one one texture per scene, but that's not true at all. I mean, we could have a billion textures, but I won't. I'm not knowledge enough to know that, oh, we can have X amount of textures. The safe rule is use as less textures as possible. And so if I
Totally.
keep to that, if I'm being really stingy with it, but only create textures when we have to, then I think
Mm-hmm.
we'll be okay. Because right now,
Okay.
five scenes, five scenes, we use five textures, maybe six if we include all the characters. When I say characters,
Mm-hmm.
I mean heroes and the villains, all the bad bots, right?
Sure.
Anything else? Maybe 7 textures for all the interior assets, like these little
Props and
these
things.
props and all that other stuff. Maybe 1 textures for props per scene, so that's 10, now it's 11, up to 11 textures, right? So we'll just keep going until you know we run out of space, which I don't think we're gonna run out of space. Going by what Captain Blue Blue said, is it's not about the vertex count anymore. It's about the amount of textures that we use, and if we keep
Mm-hmm.
it at a minimum, I think we'll be okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that philosophy is great and lines up with what I'm also trying to do in Unity because there's certain ways to program that are more efficient than others that use less memory.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
it can get kind of complicated, but like one small example is occasionally what you need to do is you need to tell the computer like, hey, give me some space and memory for a Boolean because I need to check whether or not, the player is shooting the gun or whatever. And when the player
Right.
is shooting the gun, then, let's do these other things. When you ask for that space for that Boolean, y- you can't like there. It's possible to ask for that inside like the update loop that Unity is
Hmm.
calling every single frame,
Hmm. Hmm.
which then means every single frame you're asking the computer allocate me space for that Boolean, and then
Mm.
you use it whatever. Then the next frame allocate me more space for that Boolean again, and it's going in and like allocating space, letting you use it, then getting rid of it, and then giving it back to you, then getting rid of it, and then giving it back to you. What you can do is just take that request first, hey computer, give me space for Boolean, and just take it out of the update and put it at the start level. So when
Right.
the game starts, you say, hey, give me space for Boolean, and then we're just going to change that from true to false whenever something changes. But you
Right.
don't keep asking for it over and over and over again.
Sure.
So yeah,
Sure.
I'm doing things like that too, in with
Right.
your philosophy of like trying to minimize what's going into the game, and I
Hmm.
think that's going to make the game better, improve performance, and hopefully cut down on the size of the game and
Yeah.
make it perform better for people when we actually get it out there.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. Yeah. Luckily, I've watched enough tutorials to know that, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, and so I'm kind of just trying to learn from those tutorials and try to optimize stuff. So yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
So we'll do our best.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay. So I got my marching orders. I will. Let me get out of this really quick. Ugh, ugh. Let me get out of this and go to this. All right. Again, I will deliver all this stuff to you in Unity so that you will have, you could build the scene 4 in Unity, and I will start in scene 3 with all the important assets for scene 3.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. I just
Good work,
know.
man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, man. I just know for a fact that, God, there's just going to be so much work to do. There's just so much work to be done, man.
I know.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I have a strong feeling we're going to get to pretty soon. We're going to be in like a crunch mode where we are putting, a last minute scramble, long hours, late nights trying to get done by
Yeah.
September. And yeah, for me, I'm still personally trying to target getting done by the beginning of September, but
Mhm.
I'm perfectly open to that pushing to like middle of September, as long as we could at least say like all delays included, betas launched by September 22nd, then I'd consider our scheduling and planning to be a success if we
Mm,
can
mm, mm.
do that,
Yeah.
because that's the date that's like a year ago we said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did something?
Yeah.
So if we can get to the 1 year, exactly 1 year later, and be like, we did it, we're done,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
made the game, that's going to be so cool.
Well, that's not really fair because we didn't really start designing Oh, we started thinking about stuff to do. I mean, from
Hmm.
from last September till maybe April is our blue sky. Like, what the hell are we gonna do together phase? but essentially from April onwards, then
We've
that's
been
like
developing the game. Yeah.
we've been
So there,
developing the game.
right. Yeah, there really
Yeah.
is like two phases. Like technically, if you already know you want to make a video game, then yes, you can say like,
Right.
okay, this is how many months, like two people doing this for the first time, you can
Yeah.
expect to be able to get this much done.
Yeah.
But I think that first part is just as essential to this story because that's what the creative process is like. There's this crazy adventure that happens when you first are looking at the blank canvas and
Mhm,
trying to
mhm.
figure out like what's going to go on this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being able to say like we were there with no idea what we were going to do,
Right.
and a year later we had something that we could
Right.
put out into the world. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it definitely is part of the process. Yeah. But again, I want to stress that we didn't start this project until April-ish. So I mean, technically, if we're doing all this, it's like if we do have a beta out, we did this in 5 months. So that's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. That's pretty fast.
Yeah,
So
that's very fast.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. I'm done, guys. All the stuff that I'm sharing for today. But wow,
Awesome
it didn't.
update, man.
Thanks again. It didn't feel like I showed a lot of stuff. Essentially, it was just UV untexturing or UV unwrapping, and then putting a texture onto or putting those UVs onto a texture. That's about it, right? But the process that it takes is so tedious and so long.
Mm,
Uh, and I know there's like a separate department. Actually, that's not true. People who do texturing, they have to deal with UVs because that's the only way they can texture. But yeah, there's a whole texturing department that does this stuff, and
wow.
I'm just I'm I have the privilege of doing it just for this game, and oh my gosh, it's if you don't have a lot of experience with it, you struggle, and I definitely struggled this week doing this, trying to figure out like why how come the UV ratios doesn't look and feel the same? Oh, it's because I didn't like scale it and or something stupid, something very elementary, and I feel like an idiot. But you learn from that, or I learned from that, and yeah, oh,
That's the process, man.
that is the process. That is the process. But yeah, anything else? You guys, anyone in chat have any questions at all? Let us know, and please follow us at our social. Yeah, and you can find me at my social, and you can find Michael at his social. Yeah. But yes,
Perfect.
anything else, Michael, you want to add or anything?
Um,
Any updates?
I don't think so. For me, I'm still working through the Unity tutorials. I'll have some cool stuff to show you guys next time. Probably 3 different 2D games I should have done that I can
Oh,
show
cool.
you.
Cool.
Um, they're all pretty simple games, but you know, providing some of the building blocks, especially like one of the things that I'm kind of gathering is that, and maybe it's pretty obvious, but like 2D games seem much, much simpler than 3D games.
Really?
Um,
Interesting.
yeah,
Something to think
yeah,
about. Ooh.
yeah. I mean, there's this whole thing with like the sprites that I don't quite understand yet because so far they've been providing those assets for like, okay, just click the zip file and then import the sprite assets we gave you, and now we're gonna start putting them into the game and doing stuff with it.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, like taking out the three-dimensional element, like that third dimension. I mean, really, technically, it still is because the way Unity does 2D is it just creates an isometric or orthographic side view
Hmm.
into a 3D space and
Yeah.
starts treating things as though they're in
2D.
2D. But
Yeah.
really, at any time, you can click off of 2D and it'll like, okay, here's what
Right.
the scene looks like in 3D.
Right.
Um, so really, technically, it's still a 3D, but the like simplification of the design and the different like art assets and things, and yeah, it's much much simpler. So yeah, definitely food for thought for maybe a
Ooh.
future project.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, that's going well, and I will have more to share on Wednesday.
Nice, nice. Have you ever played this game called Contra?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Contra was
yeah,
amazing. I played a
yeah.
shit ton of that on the Super
I
Nintendo when.
I loved Contra. Contra was awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so much fun. So much fun.
yeah. Well, hey, I mean, we could make one of those for sure. And that would actually make a great mobile game. Because they already have like some games that are, and then I mean they're not quite Contra style, but they're games
Yeah,
like that where your character's running automatically and you tap the screen to shoot or whatever, and
right.
it'll just like wherever you put your finger on the screen, your little guy will like aim and shoot at that
Yeah,
spot.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, maybe we
Cool.
do a Contra game.
Yeah, that's
I'd be
awesome.
down.
That's awesome. Okay, I have something to ask you, but we'll do it later. We'll do it later. It's a secret. What's the secret? But yeah. Anyways, so yes. Again, my name's Chris. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv, Lead Design Studio. Currently, I'm working on a Kickstarter, and it will launch on July 7th. And I made a whole bunch of tarot cards. And if you guys like tarot, please give it a look. I don't have any link in the description or anything. Actually, that's not true. Go ahead and click on the link that I provided on the link tree, Lee Design Studio, and go and check it out. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. And Michael, where can they find you, good sir?
uh, the best place to find me is right here on the Creative Tavern every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where Chris and I will be doing this, serving up creative drinks for you guys, and sharing with you on our creative journey and our creative process. So look forward to having you back again next time.
Yeah, and you wrote a book too, right, Michael?
I did write a book, Blockbuster
Yeah.
Blueprint, which is an analysis of how blockbuster stories work. So all the biggest stories, Star Wars, Harry Potter, all that jazz. And there's a couple video games in there too. I talked about Mass Effect because Mass Effect's got a really compelling and interesting story, and a huge cast of characters. I could talk a lot about Mass Effect. But yes, so if you want to support me and you're interested in storytelling, check that book out. It's available on Amazon, both in Kindle and paperback.
Nice. Yeah, cool. All right. Until then, we will see you guys on Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Yeah,
Bye,
we'll see you
everybody.
guys soon. Bye. Take
Stay
care.
creative.
Stay creative. All right. See ya.